Okay, thank you, Alderico. Thank you, Mio, and thank you everyone for joining this meeting of the network of eco clubs. Um, just for our guest, I would like to share a very quick introduction about uh, Rotary and ESRAG so that you understand the what we are talking about. In Rotary, it's a network, an organization of 1.2, probably more people. We call it leaders, problem solvers that join together to provide services with ethical standards to encourage peace, goodwill, and others and are involved in other area of interest that are connected with the goodwill of the human being. What is very peculiar about Rotary is that it is formed about 46,000 clubs. So he has the capacity to be very local with, I call it, the capacity of thinking globally. What is important to understand, it is not a simple charity organization, but it is something more. One of the way in which Rotary decline his activity is the so-called action group. ESRAG is the Environmental and Sustainability Action Group of Rotary. That is an independent group that is only affiliated to Rotary and specialized in action on environmental sustainability, climate change, and a lot of much more detailed activities. As Ezra said, Rotary acts on the environment, and ESRAG is the catalyst of its activities. If you want to know more, please go to esrag.org and you will know more. On our side here, we are the network of the Eco Club. Apologize about this subtitle that was not removed. This network is just the family of the Rotary Eco Clubs that join together in an international network. We are all dedicated to the sustainability, to the environment, and we act on a concrete project and we do things under the guidance of ESRAG and under the big umbrella of Rotary. So this is it. And talking about concrete action and specific project, today we have a very interesting guest. She is coming from Japan. Her name is Mio Urata. She's a expert botanic. She is specialized in she was in the Miyawaki technique for urban gardening. You will see in the presentation that this is exactly what many of us want to know. A lot of concrete action that we can put in practice using the technique that Mio will talk about. Mio, if you are ready, I think that the floor is yours. Maybe after the presentation, there will be a few questions for you.
All right. Thank you very much for the introduction, Luca. And hello, everyone. I am Mio Urata from Japan, and I have been planting Miyawaki forests for more than 20 years. Today, I'm honored to make my presentation to some Italian Rotarians out there. This month, I watched the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics and was very impressed. There were also many TV programs introducing Italy, and I enjoyed seeing the beautiful townscape of various places. From watching these programs, I understood that the cities are filled with historical buildings, lovely houses, and pretty streets, but realized there is very little forest space. Forests are crucial for our existence. They capture CO2, they have cooling effects, they provide comfort, and they nurture life. Well, in this presentation, I'd like to show you that mini forests can actually be made in tiny spaces. Okay, now let me share my slides, right? Okay, so before going into some examples, first let me give you a brief introduction on the Miyawaki method. The Miyawaki forest. It is the creation of a natural forest by determining the potential natural vegetation of the site through extensive research. And two, it consists of planting a mixture of young potted seedlings, ideally about 3 years old, densely and randomly. And three, in order to facilitate the seedling's growth, the soil is cultivated and nurtured, sometimes mixed with nutrients. Weeding is required for the first 3 to 4 years, but after that, it's self-sustaining. You shouldn't do any thinning or pruning. As Professor Miyawaki said, no maintenance is the best maintenance. In 20 to 30 years' time, a mature forest is grown. The forest shown in this slide is just 11 years old. Today, I'd like to share some examples of the forests that I helped make in Japan, from the preparations to how they look like some 10 years later. These include urban forests made in Tokyo and one on the eastern coast of Japan. They range from tiny ones to huge ones. Okay, let me start with an example of a school that really wanted to make a Miyawaki forest. This planting took place at Tokyo Junior and Senior High School, a private boys' school in Tokyo. The headmaster was deeply impressed with Professor Miyawaki's work, so before the headmaster retired, he thought he would like to make a forest in the school grounds. There just wasn't enough space, though. Well, after much consideration, this is what he did. He knocked off the concrete wall that surrounded the school's sports field and made space there, in between the wall and the fence. The width is around 1 meter. In some places, it's less than that. Professor Miyawaki always said that a space of 1 meter is enough to make a forest. So that's exactly what the school did. As you can see, it's a very narrow strip of land. The whole space was about 50 square meters. The planting took place in February 2011. Okay, this was all the material we needed for the planting because it was a small site. These are the seedlings, the straw mulch, the ropes to hold down the mulch, and the stakes to tie down the ropes. And before the planting, humus was mixed to enrich the soil. Most of the work was done by the students. They mixed the seedlings so the same species wouldn't be planted next to each other. They attached the ropes to the stakes, carried the mulch to each place, and worked very hard. On planting day, the headmaster made an impressive speech on the importance of nature and the Miyawaki method. The man instructing the students is Mr. Yoshino, a landscape designer and an expert on the Miyawaki method. His company, called SBEC MIG, is dedicated to spreading the method. 250 trees and 42 species were planted by the students of the school. Now, this shot was taken right after the students finished planting. They look very happy and excited. Okay, 13 years later, the forest has grown. It has become part of the neighborhood, and people enjoy the flowers year-round. So, if you don't look at it from the side, it looks like the edge of a forest. But actually, it's only 1 meter wide. It's not even as big as a tennis court. This is a great example of how you can make a forest with just this amount of space. Now, the next example is about a local government that made numerous mini forests in Tokyo. Toshima City in Tokyo is Japan's most densely populated city. To give you an image of how dense it is, let me give you some figures. Toshima, its population is 280,000. The area is 13 square kilometers, so the population density is roughly 23,220 people per square kilometer. For reference, the Italian town of Bacoli in Naples has an area of 13 square kilometers, around the same as Toshima, but its population is a mere 26,000 people. Verona has a population of 260,000, around the same as Toshima, but the area is 200 square kilometers. Okay, see the difference? The park area of Toshima is the lowest per capita among the 23 cities in Tokyo, and its green coverage rate is also very low. In an attempt to create a green movement in the city, Toshima decided to plant 10,000 trees a year towards a goal of 100,000 trees. Of course, there was no place to make expansive green spaces. What did they do? They made use of small spaces. Here, I'd like to show you 3 significant examples. The first example is this: Rissho Kosekai Toshima Branch. This is the building of a Buddhist sect. See how the forest is squeezed into a corner of its premises? There are only 36 trees planted here, but it's a forest. It was planted in 2008, which is 18 years ago, and it's called the Forest with 71 Names. Citizens were invited to name the forest, and 71 names were submitted. But the organizers couldn't decide on one, so that became the forest's name. It has more names than trees. Residents and people working nearby come to rest in its shade every day. This forest became the inspiration for the mayor of Toshima. He thought, a forest can be made in such a tiny space. Why not other small spaces? So the Green Toshima project kicked off in 2009. The trees that were to be planted would all become Miyawaki forests. That year, 10,000 trees were planted in 31 elementary schools and junior high schools. The next year, in 2010, Toshima decided to plant forests around facilities. Which brings us to the next example. Toshima Waste Cleaning Office. Space was created around this building to make a green screen. This is how it looked like just before planting. See the seedlings and the straw mulch? And this is right after the trees were planted. It was planted on May 12, 2010. 1,030 trees were planted in more than 14 species. Now, let's see how it looks like now. Beautiful, isn't it? When you visit this place on a summer day, the temperature around the building is definitely much cooler than in other places. Toshima City also made forests in parks. This example is of a forest made in a park. Okay. You can see Professor Miyawaki in the red jacket planting a sapling, and many nearby residents came for the planting festival. It was conducted on March 20th, 2013, and 1,700 trees were planted in more than 12 species. This is how it looks like now. I look tiny inside the forest. In Japanese, this park is called Densha no Mieru Koen, which means the park with train views. But since the trees have grown so big, you cannot see the trains anymore. Okay, so you might have realized by now that I've been showing you many pictures of forests that have become green walls. Well, there's a good reason for this. These native trees serve as barriers against natural disasters. For example, a park surrounded by a dense forest saved 20,000 people. Back in 1923, Tokyo was hit by a devastating earthquake that claimed approximately 94,000 lives. 90% of them died from fires that occurred after the earthquake. 40,000 people who evacuated to a large vacant lot surrounded by a wooden fence lost their lives to the fires. In contrast, 20,000 people who evacuated to Kiyosumi Park were saved. The leaves of the evergreen trees that surrounded the park were burnt, but the fire did not penetrate the thick forest. It was proof that biodiverse natural forests are more resilient against natural disasters. Which leads us to the last example. It's a huge project that ended in 2022, just 4 years ago. With the support of people from all over Japan and the world, we planted a total of 350,000 seedlings along the northeastern coast of Japan. The forest seawall, as we call it, stretches for 11 kilometers. This will serve as a breakwater against future tsunamis and will save people's lives. Back in 2011, on March 11th, a huge earthquake devastated the Tohoku area of Japan. Due to the earthquake and the tsunami that struck afterwards, approximately 18,000 people lost their lives. 2,000 are still missing. Many of these people lost their lives to the tsunami. 1 month after the disaster, Professor Miyawaki surveyed the disaster-stricken areas. He found out that the native species of the area had survived and were still standing tall. He also visited an 8-year-old Miyawaki forest that had withstood the tsunami, and furthermore, had stopped many cars and objects from being swept away by the undertow. On the other hand, thousands of pine trees that had been planted along the coastline had fallen down and became giant floating objects that caused great damage. From his research, Professor Miyawaki devised a plan. It was to build a seawall composed entirely of native trees to save people from future disasters. A long embankment would be made along the coast. The base would be composed of debris from the tsunami and then covered with soil. On this embankment, native trees of the area would be planted. The roots of these trees would grow straight and deep into the ground, intertwining with each other and thus stabilizing the ground. When a tsunami would strike again, the forest would reduce the energy of the tsunami and also provide citizens more time to evacuate. When the tsunami would recede, it would prevent objects from being washed away by the undertow. The city of Iwanuma lost many of their citizens too. The mayor thought it was crucial to protect the citizens from tsunamis that would strike again in the future. So he agreed to Professor Miyawaki's plan and decided to create the Millennium Hope Hills. 15 evacuation hills that are 11 meters high were built along the coastline. 3-meter-high paths connect the hills. This stretches for 11 kilometers. More than 350,000 seedlings were planted by thousands of volunteers over a course of 10 years. These are pictures from the planting day. This is Professor Miyawaki with Mr. Hosokawa, the president of the association Morino Project that led the tree planting events. 7 years later, it looks like this. Over time, the forests will become stronger and more resilient as they grow. Concrete walls will eventually deteriorate, but forests will not. These green breakwaters will continue to grow and will stay rooted for 1,000 years to protect people's lives. Tiny forests, mini forests, Miyawaki forests, whatever their name is, these forests are springing up all across Europe. Actually, not just Europe, but around the world. If you'd like to know more about the movement and the method, please read this wonderful book written by Hannah Lewis, Mini Forest Revolution. It contains a variety of information, such as case studies in many countries and a step-by-step guide to making Miyawaki forests. An overview of Professor Miyawaki's life can be found here as well. On the far left is the Italian translation, on the far right is the German translation, and second from the right is the Japanese translation that I've done in collaboration with Professor Fujiwara, who worked closely with Professor Miyawaki. The book will hit the bookstores this weekend. There's also a lot of information on the internet, such as videos, handbooks, organizations making Miyawaki forests, and so forth. So please let me know if you need any help navigating the Miyawaki method. Because now it's your turn to make a mini forest. Plant now, and in 10 years' time, you'll be resting under its shade. Plant for yourself, plant for your loved ones, and plant for the future. Plant now. Thank you very much.
Wonderful presentation, Mia, really. I think that everyone should be able to open the microphone. Bertel, yeah, okay. Please go ahead.
What did you do? Okay. Thank you, Mio, for a wonderful presentation. And I right away put the book in the book cart on Amazon. I know Miyawaki already a bit longer because I'm from the Philippines, and in the Philippines, a lot of people are quite familiar with the method. There's only one problem with the method, and that is because of the density of the trees and the shrubs, it can be very costly for some organizations or schools, especially those kind of things. If they don't have the expertise of making their own nursery, is there something else that you could recommend? And can I say one thing? I've met already for the last 15 years many Rotarians from Japan, but your English is by far the best from all the Japanese that I met. Excellent. Really,
Absolutely
really.
correct. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so in answer to your very good question, the Miyawaki method is said to be expensive. The initial costs are very high. But when you look at it in the long run, it is not so expensive because the survival rate is very high, about 90% or so. But if there are no nurseries nearby that you can purchase seedlings, then how about growing seedlings on your own? Like collecting native seeds and growing them in your own backyard. This takes time. It will take a lot of time. But just one person can collect just a few number of trees or seeds. But if you do it with 10 people, then you have 10 times the number.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anna Maria?
Thank you. Your presentation is fantastic, and but I have two questions. One, you said the wall, per se, in between the school and where you start putting the seeds and all the ground is 1 meter wide. But the point is, how deep is the down? Because with a lot of tree, we can plant them, but if for the roots they don't have enough place, they will die. This is the first question. The second one, how do you manage to take care of the trees? Because they need to be cut, they be controlled. And do you have a lot of parasites in this kind of forest? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Your first question about the depth of the planting site. Well, usually we always dig 1 meter deep, and we make the soil much more softer so that the roots can penetrate the ground much easily. So at least 1 meter. And your second question about maintenance, for the first 3 to maybe 4 years, the seedlings are really much weaker than the weeds. So you have to take out the weeds. But after 3 to 4 years, the trees are much more stronger. So you don't have to do any maintenance at all after that. But if it is planted by a roadside and the branches, they go up against the road and it's a bit annoying, then you can cut the side branches, just the sides, but never the tops of the trees.
Mio, there is a question in the chat from Claudia Roth asking how in such a small spaces there is enough nutrients for the long run. Do you use mycorrhiza? And what about the soil organism necessary for recycling leaves and so on?
Mm-hmm. So the Miyawaki method always requires soil to be remediated before planting. So making the soil rich in nutrients is very important. You mix the soil with organic matter to make it more healthy, and you use that soil. Mycorrhiza, we don't actually, implant those into the forest. They work naturally. And yes, if you have fallen leaves, then you put it back into the planting ground. so that they decompose and the leaves become food for the trees. And also the mulch that I explained, the mulch is very important because that also becomes a kind of nutrient for all those trees.
Okay, there was another post in the chat by Rajendra Kumar Saraf saying that they started a Miyawaki forest in the open area of a prison. I don't know if you have the possibility to. Ah, yeah, here
Can
you are.
I am there. It's a really excellent presentation, and I'm very thankful to you because today we started, made a beginning of Miyawaki forest on the 1 acre of land, and I learned a lot how to do it. It's RID 3131, Rotary District 3131, that is in prison area. Only one thing I want to know, because we were discussing when we started the work, whether you prefer the organic manure or you want to give the inorganic chemical fertilizer, which will be better for the fastest growth. Because India right now we will switching over after May, we will have a winter. Right now we are entering in the summer, and by June we will have a rainy season, and we have to maintain the plants right from today onward till the May. And how much water it require? The two questions I have.
Okay, so in answer to your first question, remediation of the soil differs case by case. So if it's sandy soil, you make it less sandier. If it's clay-like soil, you make it less clay-like and add nutrients, organic matter that make it less so. So it always depends on what kind of soil you're
It's a
doing it
it's a
with.
black cotton soil. It's a black cotton soil.
I'll have to check that out. Sorry.
That word is not known to you. It's an Indian word. Where the percentage of the organic matter is more. That's called black cotton soil here.
Okay. I'll make a memo of that. All right. And your second question was
That whether we like to, I said whether how much water it require, and the second
oh
is
yeah.
how what chemicals we are, whether you prefer the organic manure or you will prefer the synthetic chemicals, fertilizers.
Mhm. For watering in Japan, we don't water the plants at all because we have a lot of rainfall. And
Yeah.
this is different in every location, in every country. So I just can't answer this or that. But yes, in
Okay.
Japan, um, on planting day, we dip the seedlings in water and then we give them a little bit of water after planting. That's all. The plants all depend on rainfall after that. And so Japan is very, yeah, it's a
Thank
good
you.
environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as for fertilizers, we use um, organic things mainly. Sometimes, maybe depending on the site, not natural fertilizers, but those are very rare cases.
Maybe
Sorry?
Rajendra, I saw that in the chat that you was talking about the project that you are doing with this kind of forest in Pune. Can you share something about it?
Yes. Uh, we have there is a area which is given by, we have a prison authority here, and the prison authority has given us a 2 acre land, that's 88,000 square feet, and we studied all the things, and then we selected the local species which grows here with a less canopy. We will first, I will let me the process. We will the topsoil. We will add the organic manure into it. Then we'll mix the organic manure with the soil. Then we'll keep it there for another 15 days, and then we'll plant over the trees. And the trees will be watered with the drip irrigation. And we, because we started this now, this is now month of February. We entering March, April, May is summer, which is a very hot summer. In June, we get the rains. So we have to take care of the plants for the March, April, and May. And from June onward, we will have a water, natural water. And we are planting the trees which are almost 6 to 7 feet high, so that they will sustain there. The soil condition is a murum, which is called here the language is called murum, which is not a sandy, which has which is it's not a sandy, and it's a less, it's not a clay also, so it between the what is called, I don't know the English name for the morums, I'm sorry for that. And we expect this entire Miyawaki forest will be established by 2028. That's our target. It will take it 2 years to grow, and we hope that will become an excellent area where the people can see and enjoy. That's the planning we have, and the inmates will enjoy. We are putting a jogging track. The prisoners, which they can come and they enjoy that Miyawaki forest. That's our. But only let me tell you, the cost is very high, very high. We are spending. Let me tell you, in dollars, it will be around $22,000. That's the cost we are spending on it.
Thank you very much.
I hope I explained the project.
Walid, by the
Hello.
way, let me say to everyone that Walid was the person that introduced Mio to this audience. So we need to give credit to Walid for this meeting.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you, Alderico, for your invitation. Mayo, thank you for your presence and the great presentation you have provided us with. As you know, climate change is something happening, and I believe this era or this period now, no one is doing anything on this regards. Have you ever planted forests in deserts? So, if in a worst case scenario, we come to a period where most of our countries will become deserts, will we be able to bring up or establish forests through the Miyawaki method? And thank you.
Yes. Actually, I have no experience in planting in deserts, but there are people trying to revive forests in desert using the Miyawaki method. And these people have succeeded in making Miyawaki forests in deserts. So yes, like in this book, can you see it? The Mini Forest Revolution book. Yeah. There is an example of a person in India, in an arid place in India, who's making a Miyawaki forest, and also a person in Iran who's making a Miyawaki forest. And also, I've heard an example of someone who has made green strips of land by the Miyawaki method in Afghanistan as well. So we should not despair. We should have hope.
Mio, I have a question. So apologize for because I am a complete naive on what you are doing. But you are always talking about local species. Why? What will be the difference of planting something not local or not native?
That's a great question. Difficult to answer. But local species work the best. And the Miyawaki method uses potential natural vegetation, which is a hard concept to explain in just a few minutes. But imagine the world without people, and what kind of vegetation would grow in that environment. That is what potential natural vegetation talks about. So it's a science. And so you have to delve deeply into studying the ecological ecology of the place that you want to plant trees in. And native trees work best because they have supported that local environment for ages, for long times, for thousands of years. Maybe it could be different well, the situation is different in Europe because trees, forests have almost been cut down since the Roman ages. And also maybe in the US too, after people, they have cut down many trees as well. China as well, when they made the Great Wall of China. In Japan too, people have cut down forests. But they have preserved little shrine forests, and those little shrine forests have preserved the local vegetation of those places. And so they serve as places that you can find shelter in, like when natural disaster strikes. So local species are the best. If that answers your question.
And this concept should be applied also when you create these mini forests in cities.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Walid.
Thank you, Luca. Mayo, I have an argument regarding this in planting trees that are not local. We have an issue, I believe, in Hawaii where trees were planted and afterwards they became invasive to their natural area. And a great fire took place and killed too many peoples. So the problem of planting non-local trees might become invasive to the area where you have planted. So you have to determine what type of trees, and the best practice that Mayo informed us through her presentation is planting local trees that they live as easily through the roots and climate in the area where you are planting, rather than getting trees from elsewhere and finding out that they are invasive to the environment and having problems afterwards. I believe this is what I understood from the concept of fire that took place in Hawaii. Thank you.
Exactly. Brilliant. Thank you.
Rajendra Kuran, you have your answer on?
We when started working on the Miyawaki forest, we have the two observation. One observation we found, if we have a local species that will grow and will be sustainable. Two, it will help the local biodiversity and develop the biodiversity because the biodiversity depend on the vegetation. These are the two things we thought of to include, and Miyawaki forest require the three layers of the trees. and we selected the lower tree and the higher tree, and that will make a good assembly of establishing the plant. Another thing we observed, let me share with you that the trees, when they grow with each other. And if one tree is not compatible with other tree, the growth is not good. So that's another observation we had, and we selected the trees which can help to each other to grow. So that's our observation, and I think Mio will also agree with me on my point.
Absolutely, yes. So the trees are densely planted, and so they compete with each other for sunlight and for water and nutrients, but they also persevere a bit and they coexist with each other. And so that is the law of the natural world. So they compete with each other, but they persevere and they coexist. So maybe that's what humans should learn from trees as well.
It's a science. It's a science.
Mm-hmm. It's a science, yes. It is.
Yeah. It took me 1 month, 1 year to understand the Miyawaki and then implement.
Mm. I still don't understand everything. You are
I know little bit.
But it's very logic what you are saying. So it's okay. Lori.
I have to agree with you so much. It's so important to have native habitat at different levels growing. Um, 2 years ago, we had it didn't even seem to be that bad of a windstorm come through our town. And on one side, we have a green belt. So there's a pathway that you can run down. And on one side, there were trees neatly planted by this corporation they were all the same tree. They were not native species. They were planted like 3 to 4 meters apart, and they had been carefully watered and fertilized for, I'm guessing, 20 years. The other side was our normal natural green belt with all native species. And when the windstorm came through, those ones that had been carefully nurtured for 20 and 30 years just broke and fell down. But all of the other native species that looked messy to some people's eyes, but had all of the regular native habitat going in and out of it, they stood firm. They were fine, and they didn't have all of that careful care of being watered, and fertilized for many decades.
yes. A Miyawaki forest looks messy, as you say, but it's much stronger than carefully manicured trees that have been planted and tended very carefully. And Miyawaki forests are trying to, imitate natural forests. So they're actually very strong, messy but strong, and that's exactly what we want right now.
Anna Maria.
I am again with the practical question. Do you make anything against the different insect parasites in this tree? Because recently in Italy, in Lombardy especially, and now going down to south, we have different small animals who came by plane in Malpensa airport, and they are invading Piemonte, Lombardia, and so on. And they are coming from Japan too. So probably in Japan you have already a local enemy of this kind of insect. But in Italy we don't have anything. So if we plant even flower or vegetables, everything, they live beautifully. How can you manage this problem? Because they are really making big danger. Even in Monza, there is a beautiful park. Now is full of this kind of parasite. Thank you.
Well, the problem with insects is something that we are coping as well. And scientists are trying to find a solution to insects that are destroying some very important native trees in Japanese forests. So yes, we are looking forward to what will come out of those investigations. And also about some animals, while we're on this topic. In one planting site, we had deer and wild boar invading the site, and it was quite terrible. We had to replant a very huge part of it. But of course, we did not kill the deer or the wild boars. All we did was just put up a fence around the whole planting site so that the forest would be guarded by the fence and the deer and wild boars could not come in. It worked perfectly.
Thank you, Mio. Nils.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for a very interesting talk. I was just wondering about the soil health. We've discovered in Norway with the boreal forest up here that there is 7 times more carbon stored in the ground than in the tree itself. This is due to that the tree pays with carbon to the roots and gets nutrition back from the fungi, which in a way also explains why it's important to use local species, because they kind of adapted with the symbiosis between the roots and the soil around it. But I was just wondering, how would this be in the forests that you've been testing? Have you done any carbon measuring to in a way see how much carbon the trees are putting back into the soil?
Okay, that's a very good point. And one thing that we lack in Japan is research on how much carbon has been put into the soil or into the trees itself. So this is an area that we must explore much more. Thanks. Thank you for the tip. I will pass this on to my friends.
And Nils, of course, is eager to collaborate with you.
Great.
Naji, welcome.
Yeah, sorry for joining the late, and but I don't know whether you have covered this or not. But this is my query that Miyawaki in Rotary, actually, tree plantation is not a project considering under the global grant, but reforestation they consider. So, is Miyawaki project is able to consider for the global grant project?
The global grant project.
Yeah, maybe Mio, this is a very specific Rotarian story.
Rotary.
Yeah, Walid, I saw. Okay, are you
Yes,
able to answer?
yes, we can have global grant with the Miyawaki method, but you have to produce it in a way that it will be something like a forest with some kind of learning as well. You have to add to it a learning curve so that the foundation will not give you headaches.
Okay. And like how much the size, ideal size of the Miyawaki project for the Rotary?
It depends. The minimum budget for a global grant is 30,000. So anything above 30,000 will be okay. It
In terms of
depends.
size like square feet, area wise.
This I think Mayo could answer this. I don't know the computation of square meters per price. However, I can tell you that some Miyawaki projects were presented and established as a global grant, and they got their fundings and they have planted these forests. So it's not an
Just
issue with foundation. But the
okay,
pricing per meter, I don't really know.
30,000.
I think it also depends on the area, on the soil, and how much water you have. All of these factors will determine the price. But you
Yeah,
know, global grant, the minimum of a global grant is 30,000. So anything above 30,000, it will be okay.
yeah. Just my last query. What monitoring indicators can be used for this? Like once Miyawaki forest we have installed, but afterwards monitoring indicators we have to keep on maintaining and keep on observing it. So is there any specific monitoring indicators for the Miyawaki forest?
Well, for monitoring Miyawaki forest, I would suggest tree growth, the height, and the diameter of the tree trunks. Also, how about measuring the temperature inside the forest, outside the forest? Those are very good things to explore, I think.
Yeah.
And also maybe biodiversity, the number of insects that you find inside the forest, maybe the number of birds that have come back, animals also, if there are.
Okay, matlab, as compared to initial assessment, we have to see whether there is a progress into the ecological aspects point of view, then the height of the tree and all. Is there any specific parameters defined?
No, I don't think so. I haven't been aware of any specific parameters.
Thank you.
Raji, how did you do in your project?
Uh, can I say? Can I speak?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah, let me answer to the question which Nagzuti has raised. The cost which we are bearing for our 1 acre land, that's equal to 44,000. That comes approximately zero point 0.4 to $0.5. That's the cost we are incurring. Second one, the global grant is available if you go for the reforestation. As being a cadre member, I know about it, and we can apply for the reforestation. And this one, the next phase of this one project, which we are doing it, which will cost us around $30,000. So that we are applying with the global grant. And right now, we are implemented that project with the CSR. In India, it is called corporate social responsibility. But it varies. It may varies from half a dollar to $1, depending on the site condition and the water require. The major amount we are spending is on the water requirement and the plants.
Okay, thank you very much. It's already a few minutes past 3 o'clock on my local time, so we have exhausted the hours that we wanted to dedicate to this this topic. I must admit that it was very interesting. Mio, if you can send me the details about the book, I will distribute everything to all of the email addresses that applied for this meeting, so everyone has the possibility to to go a little bit deeper inside the Miyawaki technique. I don't know if there is anyone that wanted to say something to close this meeting. Otherwise, I think that we can.
There is one last question from Janet. And about Naji, you can find the record meeting in Rotary Eco Club Milano YouTube channel.
Janet, yeah. Where are you? If you want to say maybe a couple of words about your activity.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry to come late, but it was 5 o'clock in the morning in my part of the world. I worked in Africa for many years, Cameroon, Tanzania, Uganda, and tree planting is a big thing. I have a degree in forestry, social forestry from Oxford. So I love tree planting, and my husband as well. And there's so much potential for us to do something about climate and soil and food and development if we can engage all the local people in the tree planting. I just read an article recently and saw a video about 5 billion trees a year are being planted in Ethiopia by the local people themselves. And the streams are coming back. The rain is coming back. The soils are being improved. Their whole, Haiti is another place where the smallholder farmers, instead of getting paid for planting the trees, they get these little cards, and the cards can enable them to buy improved seed and tools and training, and even small loans for the women to do, projects like sewing or things like that. So the trees have like a tree currency in Haiti. So there's just so much potential. And I also emailed you about the agroecology fund that are giving out a lot of money for tree planting everywhere. But in my imagination, I'm thinking like Rotary got rid of polio, so we can get rid of soil degradation and climate problems if we engage local people in the whole thing. And where I worked in Uganda, it was very active, the Rotary Club, in making tree nurseries locally and taking the seedlings to the farmers, small farmers. So that's just what I wanted to say. There's so much hope and potential for us to really do something with this. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you, Janet. Yeah, of course, if I may comment, I mean, there are different problems in different parts of the world. In Tokyo and in Milano, maybe we have the problem of finding the right place for planting trees. We don't have a money problem or other kind of problem, while in other areas of the world, the situation is completely different. But planting trees is always something that makes a difference and brings something to everyone. So it's a good practice.
In Canada, the Boy Scouts are very active. One week of the year is National Tree Week, and the Boy Scouts raise money for Boy Scouts by planting trees in parks. But it's a lot of effort because you have to work together with the municipal authorities to find the locations for the boys to plant the trees.
Okay, thank you again. And to conclude this, I want to really thank you, Mio, again, to sparking this discussion. And Rotary should benefit from this. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending, for being early in the morning or late in the night. And you will receive the registration. Thank you again for coming, and enjoy the rest of the day or the night. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.